evening, Grace America. Hugh Hewitt in Studio West, joined by John Podhoretz. He is the editor-in-chief of Commentary Magazine. He is the conductor of the Daily Symphony that is the Commentary podcast that occasionally has guest soloists, but mostly they've got the same band together every day, and it's really fabulous today about Gaza. John, I do have to ask at the beginning, you haven't received any USAID money, have you, at Commentary? Because I really couldn't have you on if you were a voice of the government.
Tragically, no. I would love $38 million, and I have a nonprofit. I could really use $38 million, and we call it Commentary Pro, according to which we would basically sell commentary, but you would pay, I don't know, $1,000 a month, which I gather people are paying for Politico Pro, which is Politico, but for $1,000
I got
a
to
month.
tell you,
Listen,
it's
nice work if you can get it.
It's the biggest scandal in journalism.
It's not a scandal in journalism. It's not scandal. It's a scandal in government. I'm sorry, I was unaware of the fact that government agencies had a budget to subscribe to $1,000, $15,000 to $200,000 a year in subscriptions. I know the lobbyists do it. I know that people who have business before the government need reporting about what's going on in the innards of the government. That's what those markets are for. I just didn't know the government was paying for reporting on the government that is being sold to people outside the government for the purposes of lobbying the government. I really feel like a sucker, Hugh. You and I are we've gone the wrong way with our profession here. Who knew how easy it would be to make $38 million? Who knew?
I'm completely with you. I'm thinking, why didn't I think of that? All right, John, number two.
Yeah.
Will I like Paradise? I like James Marsden in Jury Duty.
Okay, here's the thing about Paradise. It has a really good pilot. I just watched the subsequent 3 episodes.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, okay,
oh, boy.
Off the list. Not the serious
not good.
Good.
I recommended it based on the pilot. Sometimes you should keep your powder dry, is all I got to say about this Hulu show. Keep your powder dry or spend your time on something else. That's my...
Seth Mandel once recommended Tires or Tire Shop, and I had my wife watch it, and she's still not talking to me. So I am careful
but that
about
guy,
it.
at least the guy who is the star of Tires, Shane Gillis, is somebody who you would find politically simpatico. I doubt that would be the case.
I laughed a lot. I think it's a man's show.
Okay,
I don't think it's a women's show. All right,
there
John, serious stuff.
Fair enough. Yes.
I began the broadcast today by saying, go to the Commentary podcast, listen to it. Here's some context. Gaza is 90,000 acres. Disney World is 25,000 acres. The Woodlands in Texas is 28,000 acres. The Villages is 35,000 acres. And the Irvine Ranch is bigger than Gaza. It's 100,000 acres. So it's possible actually to develop and master plan 100,000 acres. But the first step, and I want you to do a thought experiment with me. Let's say that the autocrat who runs Egypt, General Sisi, says, I'll take 1.8 million of the Gazans for 5 to 10 years if King Abdullah takes the rest. And they both agree to give him purple passports, they're gone. So we get the Gazans to go on a long vacation, and we pay for that. After that happens, what would you do next? Because I don't think the next step is very clear to me.
I'm not even sure any of that is clear to me either. I mean, we're not even quite, as we're speaking, I think we're 23 hours from the moment at which Donald Trump said we're going to clean up, and we're going to run Gaza. This is I would say earthquake is not the right word for it. A tsunami is not. Those are destructive. This is sort of constructive, but it is. We have shot off into some new stratosphere that I don't entirely understand, and so I don't even know how we get to the point at which. I know Trump said, I think they'll do it. They're not going to do it. They're going to do whatever they can not to take the Gazans. Would you take the Gazans? I certainly wouldn't take the Gazans.
No, the last time that the Palestinian activists were in Jordan, they tried to kill King Abdullah's father repeatedly.
Right, and they were kicked out. There was a gigantic forced population transfer of Palestinians out of Jordan in 1972 or 1970, something like that. Of course, Palestinians then occupied southern Lebanon and were kicked out of southern Lebanon in large numbers in 1982, 83. And so they are not a welcome population as en masse, and so this is the hardest lift for Trump. I mean, it's not a hard lift to take bulldozers and go through, Jabalia and Khan Yunis and stuff like that and clear out the rubble. That's not the hard lift. I mean, you need to have, experts in removing unexploded ordnance and stuff like that. But you can do that, and we have we've seen these giant bulldozers, and you can do that too. And yeah, it's a large swath of land, but all of Germany was blasted and wasted after 1945 and was largely reconstructed by 1965. So and that was before modern construction techniques and stuff like that. So I that's not the issue for me. The issue for me is what are the next steps to create the conditions under which Trump's plan could happen. Now so if we pull back and say, okay, there's a logistical problem here with doing this. The question is, are we even going to get there? And the issue is whether what Trump has done here is just say, the past sclerosis is over. We have flushed the system clean. We're starting new, and though we are starting new, and everything is on the table. Gaza emptied and rebuilt is on the table. Hamas gone is on the table. Everything is on the table. We are not the Biden administration. We are not the Obama administration. We're not even necessarily the first Trump administration, though we're building on some of the changes of the first Trump administration. We are not going to follow the rules of the last 60 years in the Middle East. And what follows from that could be 100 different things that aren't even Gaza. That, it's all you're doing here is opening. People are calling it opening the Pandora's box, which of course means terrible things, right? If you open Pandora's box. But what if you're opening a different kind of box? What if you're opening like a Christmas morning box? What if you're opening a box that,
a treasure chest at the bottom of the ocean?
A treasure chest. Or just, something that leads forward to a different future and is not, as I say, is not the sclerosis of the present. That's, John, I think, where we are here and why this is so revolutionary.
I'm always careful to say I think Trump was thinking this because I've interviewed him 30 times on the air and I'm never sure what he's thinking. But I think he was speaking with the press in the presence of Benjamin Netanyahu, but he was talking to President Sisi of Egypt and King Abdullah of Jordan. And what the message was, we're not doing it the way you want us to do it, with this rubble in place and letting them live there and the hostages in the tunnels and the terrorists killing them. We're not doing that. You have to be part of the solution. Is that the best possible interpretation of what he was doing?
Yeah, well, I think there are two. There's that, and then there is also the message to Qatar being the actual Qatar, the actual country, aside from Iran, that is the banker, the financier, the home away from home for Hamas, and and our version of its interlocutor in these negotiations is Qatar. And I think the answer here is, we have no permanent connection to anything that has come before us here.
Yep.
This is day one. January 20th is day one. Here's what we face. Hamas is almost destroyed, but not completely destroyed. Israel is our friend. We're on our friend's side. We don't want Iran to get a bomb. We don't want any more terrorism. Okay, you guys, how about you guys? What do you guys have to say?
Douglas Murray wrote yesterday in the New York Post, so I'm sure you read it. You've worked with the Post for years. He said, first you have to win the war before you do the peace. And the war is not over. Hamas is badly damaged and wounded, but they have hostages and they have tunnels. I was thinking that when I stipulated, okay, a temporary population transfer is possible, that you would say, but you got to kill Hamas because they're not going anywhere. Well, that to me is the first step.
You have now, yes, right. Okay, so the point is, this is phase two. Like, this is phase three. The hostage deal has three phases. This is, as my sister Ruthie Bloom said, this is the day after plan. This is what happens after the war is over. The war has to be won, and then the day after plan will take effect. And if the day after plan is raise Gaza, clear it, and rebuild it, that's one thing. But yeah, the war has to be won. And what is Trump done? He has sent Israel $1 billion worth of armaments in the last 12 days. That
Pause 1 second,
Biden
John.
had apparently been
I've got to
withholding.
take a quick break for network purposes. So John Podhoretz is back with me.
Yeah,
and Ruthie did say that when she was on the program 2 weeks ago. This is phase one. What do you think is the best case here?
The best case is that Israel gets the hostages out, and that the backers of Hamas decide that their backing is now useless, that they have backed losers, and that it's open season. Either they say to them, "Come out of the tunnels, and we'll find you a hole to hide in where the Israelis can't kill you the way you have been hiding in a hole in Gaza, somewhere else." And then Israel will simply take control of the territory militarily. That's the best case scenario. And that Israel doesn't have to then go fighting door to door or in the tunnels or anything like that to finally extirpate the rest of Hamas. Hamas has no future. It has no purpose. It has no way of going forward. And it does have this delusion that it can control the Gazan population in the north. The Gazan population in the north, which we've seen surrounding the hostages as they leave, is clearly still in Hamas's thrall. But Hamas without international support and backing isn't Hamas at all. There is no money, there's no nothing. And Israel can, if phase 2 doesn't go anywhere, or if they don't get any more hostages out after the 38 that are supposed to be out, those trucks that are driving in, there are no more trucks, no food, no nothing. Israel's role in this bizarre way to allow for the comfort, food, and feeding of the population of its enemy, something that has never been seen before in the history of mankind, will come to an end. That's, I think, where we are. And so I think the best case scenario is that Hamas gives up the ghost. That What happened this week, together with everything else, is Hamas realizes that it's done, it's toast, and that it's whoever is left, skulks off somewhere to be hunted for the rest of their lives, by the way.
Mohammed Sinwar gets together however many senior operators there are and leads the night train out of Gaza to Turkey or wherever they go, and they will be hunted because they killed those people on 10/7, but at least they get a running start. I think that's the best case.
And the worst case is the hostages are all killed. I mean, that's the worst case, is that Hamas is Macbeth at the end of Macbeth, and says, okay, well, I'm toast anyway, so I'm going to fight to the death in my last couple of minutes. I'm going to spend all my artillery. I'm going to spend what I have and let it go. And that's the worst case scenario.
It's chilling, but it's realistic.
That's the worst case scenario in humanitarian terms. It's not the worst case. It's one of the other, right? They're not. Israel will start dropping. Israel will start dropping the 2,000-pound bombs. In March if this goes on.
John Podhoretz, Commentary Podcast, Commentary Magazine. Thank you, John. It's a symphony every morning. He's the conductor. You ought to be listening like I do when I'm out exercising or watching on YouTube. But go watch, subscribe, and like wherever podcasts are available.